The courtroom is stunned. Robyn's voice shakes as she stands in front of Kody, her hands shaking, her eyes weighed down with secrets that are too perilous to keep. One word from her lips can destroy all that he's worked for. And this evening, that moment comes. This is not a family feud, it's betrayal exposed before the world. And trust me, you won't be sorry you did not miss what happens next. So tell me, were you sitting in that courtroom? Would you have believed Robyn or Kody? The courtroom air is charged with tension, as if they're all breathing in unison. The walls, unadorned and beige, tighten a little more with each passing tick of the clock on the back wall. The cameras aren't rolling for TV anymore. This is real. This is the Browns' secret war, laid bare for the public record. Kody Brown glowers at the defense table, his jaw clenched, his hand restlessly drumming on a yellow notepad. There is no swagger now, no sign of that cocky confidence. Instead, he looks around, his eyes roaming, restless, seeking out an ally in a room that does not seem to yield him one. To his right is Robyn, her hair tightly pinned, her shoulders squared as if preparing to take a blow. For years, she had been the devoted wife, the protector, the glue that kept Kody's broken empire intact. Tonight, however, she appears more like a witness, perhaps even an adversary. Christine sits back in the gallery, arms folded, face impassive. Janelle rests forward, lips clamped tight, like she knows something that's going to come apart. And Mary, as silent as ever, appears conflicted between relief and culpability, as if she sees justice served but doesn't want it to get this dirty. The judge clears his throat and the room is ordered once again. Opening testimony will start. His voice is firm, rehearsed, but there is a glimmer of interest there as well. He senses that this is not a typical case. The girth of dissolved marriages, money squabbles, and rumblings of infidelity weigh heavy on the docket. The bailiff moves in closer to Robyn. Please raise your right hand. She complies, her hand shaking just enough for all to see. She vows to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. She meets eyes with Kody for a second, the man she once had fought for, the man she once promised she would never betray. And then, as if in a whisper that only the walls can hear, she gasps quickly. Something within her has changed. What Robyn is going to tell them won't be only testimony. It will be a turning point, one from which none of them can turn away. The judge nods for her to start, but Robyn pauses. The quiet lingers so long that even Kody squirms in his seat. At last, she speaks. My marriage, she begins, her voice low but steady, was never what the world believed it was, and neither was Kody. The room is abuzz. Christine leans forward. Janelle's eyes go wide. Kody turns red, like someone has just pulled the rug out from beneath him. She continues, words picking up speed, her voice trembling with emotion. I defended him for years. I stood in front of cameras, in front of all of you, and I told a story I thought I had to believe. But I can't keep doing that anymore. Not after what I found out. Gasps spread through the gallery. The lawyers look at each other. Kody bangs his pen onto the bench, the piercing crack resounding off the courtroom walls. But the judge, unruffled and stern, waves her on. Robyn swallows hard. She looks down at her clasped hands, then back up at the crowded room full of people waiting to hear her truth. It began with money, she says deliberately, but it finished with something much, much worse. Kody's head shakes furiously, his lips working in protest. This can't be happening. Not like this. The judge inclines forward. Mrs. Brown, please explain. What are you saying exactly? Robyn clutches the witness stand with white knuckles. She's on the brink of revealing everything. And just as she's about to reply, the courtroom doors burst open, and a third person walks in. Every head swivels. The creaking of the heavy wooden doors comes echoing through the courtroom like a warning. Every head swivels in unison. The person entering isn't late by coincidence. It's as if it's intentional, planned. Christine's attorney scoots out of the way to allow the intruder to enter. And when the face is finally revealed, the room hushes. It's not just another witness. It's a person tied to the Brown story in ways no one expected to see under oath. Kody stiffens in his chair, gripping the armrest so tightly his knuckles go white. No, he mutters under his breath, shaking his head. His lawyer leans in, whispering urgently, but Kody isn't listening. His eyes are locked on the person walking toward the front of the courtroom. Robyn is also shaken. Her mouth falls slightly open, her eyes flicking back and forth from Kody to the stranger. She didn't see this coming. None of them did. The judge nods to the bailiff. Proceed. The new face settles in a seat just behind the prosecution table. Papers rustle, whispers ripple through the gallery like fire. It's obvious now. This trial is not merely about fiscal mismanagement or promise breaking. There are darker secrets hidden, and someone wants to pull them into light. Kody leans over, his voice barely loud enough to be heard. This is a setup. This whole thing is a damn circus. His tone is bitter, his face contorted in frustration, but his body gives him away. He's cornered, desperate, near fearful. Christine doesn't flinch. She observes, serene but with a flicker in her eye, as if she knows this is merely the start of Kody's disintegration. Robyn swallows hard, hands clutching the stand's edge. She was going to say something explosive, but now that this unexpected figure is in the courtroom, her words stick in her throat. The judge clears his throat once more, waiting, patient but firm. It seems like the whole courtroom is holding its collective breath, waiting to hear which truth will be uttered first, Robyn's, or the stranger's. Lastly, Robyn exhales. She corrects her posture, her voice calmer this time, even if her eyes are glassy with unshed tears. Kody shared things with me in private, she says delicately, things I wish I never knew. And now I realize I wasn't the only one he deceived. The room erupts once more, this time more loudly. Even the court stenographer raises an eyebrow before resuming typing. Kody slaps his hand down on the table. You're twisting everything, Robyn. Don't you dare. His voice cracks in mid-sentence, the sort of crack you can't mimic. Robyn doesn't blink. She regards him, her voice teetering but firm enough to slice through the tension. I protected your secrets for years, Kody, but now I can't. Not when the truth might destroy lives. The judge interrupts. Mrs. Brown, I'll remind you. This is sworn testimony. What exactly are you alleging? Robyn breathes deeply. Her hands shake and she clutches a piece of paper she'd held folded in her lap. She holds it up, but before she can submit it, Kody's lawyer stands up. Objection, he brays. This so-called evidence has not been verified. The judge raises a hand. Sit down, counselor. We'll decide what's admissible. The folded paper shakes in Robyn's hand. She hesitates, her eyes darting once more toward the mysterious newcomer in the room. Finally, she presses her lips together and places the paper on the stand. The bailiff brings it in to the judge. He opens it slowly. The courtroom is quiet, apart from the very slight crackle of paper. His eyes read the page, his brow deepening with each line. When he finally raises his head, his face is serious. He lays the paper carefully on the desk. This, the judge says sternly, changes everything. Gasps echo across the room once more. Kody reclines once more in his chair. Pale face, tight lips. Robyn blots a tear before it drops, her chest heaving and falling in ragged breaths. The judge leans forward, low but demanding tone. Mrs. Brown, do you have any idea how much weight lies in what you've just put forth? Robyn nods hesitantly, although her eyes dart nervously to Kody. Yes, Your Honor, I understand. The new arrival squirms in his seat, as if holding his breath for his own turn to say something. And as the tension pools, the judge calls for the bailiff to bring on the next witness. But Robyn speaks first, her voice barely above a whisper into the microphone, loud enough for all to hear. He's not who he says he is. The statement lingers in the air like a knife poised over the space. He's not who he says he is. The judge's eyebrow goes up, but he doesn't get to request clarification before Kody shoots upright from his seat. His face is red, his voice bellowing and harsh. This is absurd. Lies, all of them. His attorney pulls at his sleeve, attempting to quiet him, but Kody shakes him off. His words ring out in the room. I won't sit here to hear this trash. The bailiff steps forward, a warning in his stance. The judge bangs his gavel. Mr. Brown, you will calm down in my courtroom. But the harm is done. The room is filled with whispers and gasps. Christine leans in close to Janelle, her mouth curled into the smallest smirk. Mary glares at the ground, as if she can hardly stand to see the man she once loved disintegrate before her eyes. Robyn, who remains in the witness stand, winces at his tirade. Her eyes sting with tears, but she does not glance away. For the first time in years, she confronts him with something more powerful than fear, defiance. She takes a deep breath. You can shout all you wish, Kody, but the truth does not go away, because you dislike it. Gasps run through the courtroom again. Kody's jaw clenches, his fists are balled, but he says nothing. Not yet. The judge addresses Robyn again. Mrs. Brown, I want you to clarify. What do you mean by your words exactly? Robyn shakes and takes a wobbly breath, her hands shaking in her lap. Then she utters it. The words she has been suppressing for too long. The man you see all on TV, the husband, the father, the so-called leader, is not the true Kody. The true Kody, behind closed doors, is someone else altogether. The room falls silent. Even the scribbling of pens ceases. It's the sort of silence you incline towards the screen, not wanting to miss a word. Robyn's voice trembles as she goes on. For years I thought I had to protect him, to cover for him, to keep him going strong when he was weak, kind when he was cruel. But I can't keep lying anymore. Not when it's all coming apart. The judge nods slowly. Are you saying Mr. Brown misrepresented himself publicly and privately? Robyn wipes her eyes. Yes, and I have proof. Kody thumps his fist on the table again. Proof of what? That I tried to keep this family together, while you all turned against me. His voice cracks. His desperation is now evident, stripped of the bravado that previously characterized him. The judge squints his eyes. Mr. Brown, one more outburst like that, and I'll hold you in contempt. Kody reclines in his chair, panting hard, his glare stuck on Robyn like a knife. Robyn gazes down at the creased paper she submitted minutes ago, the one the judge labeled, game-changing. Her voice cracks as she continues. It's not about money, it's about manipulation, about control. He didn't just deceive us, Your Honor. He deceived everyone, even TLC. A murmured gasp fills the gallery. Christine and Janelle look at each other, wide-eyed. Mary places her hand on her mouth. The judge scowls, drumming the paper with his index finger. This is serious. Kody is shaken for the first time, his bluster giving way to something more like panic. He mutters furiously to his attorney, who shakes his head as if the battle may already be slipping away from them. Robyn's voice grows louder, steadier, as if each word is lifting a weight off her chest. I thought keeping his secrets would protect us, but instead it destroyed us. And now it might destroy him. The judge leans back in his chair, his expression grim. If what you're alleging is true, Mrs. Brown, this testimony could have consequences far beyond this courtroom. Kody's eyes grow wide, his breathing is rapid. For the first time, he resembles less the man in control, and more the man who is about to lose everything. The enigmatic stranger shifts in their chair once more, catching the judge's eye. The judge nods. We'll hear from you next. And on that cue, the courtroom prepares for another eruption of truth. The judge orders a brief recess, but the atmosphere in the courtroom just won't thaw. People don't budge, don't inhale. They sit there, frozen, hoping the storm will pass. But it doesn't. It intensifies. Robyn remains on the witness stand, her shoulders shaking. She dabs at her face with shaking hands. Kody sits forward, speaking something biting to his attorney, his eyes flicking back and forth, as if hoping to find a way out. Christine sits slumped against the bench, arms crossed, her face cold but pleased. Janelle has her eyes locked steadily on Robyn, silently willing her to hold on. The judge clears his throat. Mrs. Brown, you may step down for now. We'll get to your testimony shortly. Bailiff, please bring in the next witness. The air changes. Everyone's attention is drawn to the doors at the rear of the room. They slowly creak open, and in comes the newcomer, the individual who had sat silently, observing, waiting. Now they move forward, their figure imposing. A silence descends on the gallery. Robyn gazes up at the figure, her breath stuck in her throat. Her mouth opens and closes, but nothing issues forth. She knows them. Everyone can tell from her face. Kody glares, suspicion and fear combining. His knuckles go white as he clutches the table. The newcomer takes the stand, swearing in. Their voice is steady, but there's an undercurrent of something heavier. Grief, maybe, or anger long buried. The judge gestures for them to proceed. My name, they say, is not important. What matters is the truth, and I've been carrying it for a long time. A ripple of unease spreads through the courtroom. Even the cameras seem to lean closer. His is the second you realize something irrevocable is about to be exposed, and there's no going back. The judge leans in. And what truth is that? The stranger directs his eyes squarely at Kody. that this man constructed everything on falsehoods, not only with his wives, not even with his family, but with the very people who trusted him the most. Kody leaps out of his chair, finger accusatorially pointed. Who in the world are you? Some hired gun? Some disgruntled former employee? You expect me to believe this? A smear campaign. Sit down, Mr. Brown. The judge growls fiercely. One more interruption, and I'll have you taken out of here. Kody falls back into his seat, grumbling under his breath, his lawyer grabbing his arm firmly to keep him immobile. The newcomer continues, their voice calm but piercing. I worked close enough to know, to see the contracts, to hear the threats, to watch the manipulation unfold, and I know the cost of staying silent. They glance at Robyn, and she lowers her head, tears sliding down her cheeks. The judge nods for them to continue. The new man breathes out slowly. He promised things, to networks, to his family, to friends, promises that he never planned on keeping. He wielded love as a tool, faith as a shield, and power as his bargaining tool. And when people confronted him, he dismantled them until they had nothing. Gasps spread throughout the room once more. Christine's eyes shine with vindication. Janelle's head shakes in shock. Mary shuts her eyes, face unexpressive but white. Robyn grips the witness stand's edge, her voice shattering into a whisper. It's true. Every word. I lived it. Kody pounds his hands on the table, his voice echoing. You're all against me. This whole room, family, system, world. You want me destroyed. His chest is rising and falling, his face flushed, sweat dripping down his forehead. He seems more of a man who has been cornered, fraying at the seams. The judge pounds the gavel. Order in this courtroom. But order is impossible now. The truth is leaking out more quickly than it can be kept under wraps. Robyn falls into her chair, weeping openly. Christine leans over and says something to Janelle, never taking her eyes from Kody. Mary finally raises her eyes, her mouth opening as if she might say something, but then closes and hesitates. The outsider steadies himself, gazing straight into the judge. Your Honor, I have evidence, emails, tapes, documentation proving what I'm telling you. And what Mrs. Brown told you is true. Kody blanches. For the first time his fierce glare falters to fear. Genuine fear. The judge nods sternly. Then this case is going to take a very severe turn. The gavel comes down again. Court will resume after considering the evidence. The crowd goes wild. Gasps, whispers, even giggles. The bailiff is shouting for quiet, but the room is charged with pandemonium. And at the center of it all, Kody Brown sits frozen, his empire crumbling faster than he can stop it. The courtroom reconvenes after a tense recess. The gallery is packed, buzzing with nervous energy. People lean forward, hungry for the truth. Everyone knows something big is about to land. Robyn sits in front, her face colorless, her hands clasped tightly together, as if she is holding herself together. Christine and Janelle whisper to each other, their eyes fixed on the pile of files that the newcomer now grasps. Mary sits rigid and still, but her eyes are riveted on Kody. She sits there as if she is waiting for the final mask to be torn away. The judge bellows for order in the room. We will now examine the evidence submitted by the witness. His words are authoritative, ringing off the empty walls. The newcomer advances, pushing a folder along the bench. Within the neatly printed emails, accounting ledgers and a USB drive. The bailiff takes it, passing it on to the court clerk. The screens in the courtroom come alive. An email is on the screen, sent from Kody Brown. Subject line, keep quiet or else. Room gasps erupt. Kody fidgets awkwardly in his chair, his hand over his mouth, his lawyer frantically whispering to him. The judge reads on. You know what's at stake. If you talk, you lose everything. I'll make sure of it. His gaze fixes squarely on Kody. Christine's lips twist into a sour smile. Janelle shakes her head in shock. Robyn lowers her head, sobbing, tears streaming down her face. This is the moment the Browns family soap opera goes from rumors and finger-pointing into hard, irrefutable evidence, and it leaves no space for Kody to deny. The second document appears on screen, financial records. Tens of thousands drawn from joint family accounts into one account simply stamped with Kody's name. Money withdrawn in odd hours, sometimes days before significant family conflicts aired on television. The room hums louder. He took the money? Someone asks in hushed tones from the back. Janelle leans forward, irritation in her voice. That was our savings. That was for the kids. Kody bangs a fist on the table. That was my money. I made this family. I worked for it. His voice breaks, urgency seeping from each word. The judge's gavel comes down forcefully. Mr. Brown, that's enough. The clerk presses play on the USB. The speakers crackle, infilling the room with Kody's indistinguishable voice. You don't get to just walk away from me. You don't get to dictate my story without having me regulate it. If you believe you can, then I'll destroy you before you destroy me. Robyn covers her mouth, stifling a sob. Christine's hand shakes as she holds onto the bench. Even Mary, so quiet for so long, finally breathes, a deep, quivering breath, as if she's been holding it since the dawn of time. Kody's face contorts, his bravado broken. That tape is out of context, he yells. It's a setup. You people don't know, but no one in the room is convinced. Not now. The judge looks at him, his voice weighted with finality. Mr. Brown, this court will not accept intimidation, manipulation, or financial fraud. The evidence is clear. The gavel comes down. The sound rings out like a death knell. Christine leans closer to Janelle, whispering, "It's over." Robyn bows her head, broken, as if the weight she carried for years has finally crushed her. Mary closes her eyes, one tear slipping free. And Kody Brown sits in silence. For the first time in years, he has no words, no defense, no allies left to shield him. The empire he constructed with charm, domination, and intimidation is falling apart. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. The courtroom doesn't vacate immediately. No one stirs. No one utters a word. It seems as though the air has been drawn from the room. The echo of the gavel still lingers, haunting all in attendance. Kody slumps in his chair, looking down at the floor like a man who has just discovered his kingdom is ash. His attorney whispers something in his ear, but Kody doesn't answer. His hands move spasmodically, opening and closing, seeking control that is no longer theirs. Robyn is the first to crack. She collapses forward, hiding her face in her shaking hands. Her sobs sound in the oppressive silence, harsh and uncontrolled. Those around her look at her, some sympathetically, others with a frozen, quiet satisfaction. She spent years playing Kody's loyal defender. Now she is seeing him crash, and it is killing her too. Christine doesn't inch forward. She simply stands and looks at Robyn, her face impassive, but her eyes overflowing with history. Decades of anger, resentment, betrayal, all meeting up in this one moment. Janelle mouths a soft, "It's like watching a storm finally break." Mary's response is the most shocking. She turns ominously to face Kody, her voice trembling but firm enough to pierce the silence. "You once told me that loyalty was everything, that to leave you would be to betray the family. But you betrayed us well before we left. You betrayed us all." The words cut through Kody like a blade. His head snaps up, eyes locking with hers. For an instant something flashes in his eyes. Anger, remorse, perhaps even fear. Before his expression sets again. This is the turning point. The moment when all those years of silence spill over into truth, with nothing left to hide behind. The judge adjourns the session, but the courtroom doesn't disperse immediately. Journalists mob, pens scratching across paper, hammers flash, freezing all the tear-stained faces, all the strained looks. Christine grabs Janelle by the arm. "It's not finished. You know he's not going to give up this time." Janelle clenches her jaw. "No. But the tide's against him now." Finally Robyn stands, tottering, her attorney taking gentle hold of her arm. She swipes her face but will not look at anyone. Her mascara smudges down her cheeks, her voice cracking as she speaks. "I tried to keep myself together. I tried to shield him. But maybe I was just shielding a lie." Kody's head comes around, his voice cold, poisonous. "Don't you even dare say that. Don't you turn on me now." But Robyn doesn't blink. For the first time she refuses to comply. She shakes her head, her own tears falling heavier. "I can't do it anymore, Kody. I won't lie for you. Not when everything has been revealed." Gasps echo through the gallery once more. Christine's mouth compresses into a hard line, her eyes narrowing. She knows the strength of Robyn's words, understands they could swing everything further against Kody. Kody glares at her, his face flushed, his fists tight. "You're weak. You're all weak. You think this is over? It's not over. Not by a long shot." But his voice shakes. The power is lost. His threats are hollow now, desperate as opposed to commanding. The bailiff moves forward, his stance firm, ensuring Kody doesn't strike out. The judge has already left, but the seriousness of his decision remains, like an oppressive shadow over the family. Christine, Janelle, and Mary walk out of the courtroom slowly, as a group. A silent solidarity between them. Robyn hesitates, caught between remaining with Kody and escaping. Her crying ends, but her shoulders shudder beneath the burden of her decision. And Kody sits, by himself. The crowd gives him room, standing around him in a circle as if he's a dethroned king with his crown removed. The outside world waits, reporters, cameras, headlines. But within these walls the Browns' tale has been rewritten for all time. The courtroom is deathly silent, not even a whisper, not a shuffling of feet, not even the rustling of someone clearing his throat has the courage to break through the silence. The judge's sentence still rings in everyone's mind, lingering in the air like the smoke after a conflagration. It is final, irrevocable. Kody sits hunched over in his chair, his head forward, his hands clasped together so tightly they're white. His attorney leans in close to him, speaking softly, but Kody doesn't shift. He's paralyzed, a man who's just seen everything he'd built, or thought he'd built, come crashing down before him. On the other side of the aisle, Robyn can't contain herself anymore. The quietly falling tears spill into uncontrollable weeping. Her frame shakes as she doubles up, hiding her face. For years she remained steadfast as Kody's best defender, his most vocal advocate. But now her armor has cracked, and she's shattering right before everyone's eyes. Christine observes her, her face tough but not unkind. It's not triumph she experiences, it's identification. Robyn is experiencing the breakdown Christine faced years before, and it's like history repeating itself. Janelle breathes softly, so quietly that no one can quite hear her. It's like the last wall finally collapsed. Mary, having sat silently through so much, finally raises her head. Her gaze is fixed on Kody, her voice shaking but sharp enough to fill the room. You once told me that loyalty was paramount, that walking away from you would be betrayal. But you betrayed us, Kody. Long before we ever walked away, you betrayed us all. The words cut through him. He raises his head, his jaw clenched, his eyes flashing at Mary. There is something in his face for an instant. Fury, remorse, perhaps even terror. But as fast as it disappears. His mask slips back into place. He sets his jaw, will not reply, and the silence between them thunders, as if any shouting in the world could never be. This is the moment when the truth can no longer be hidden, and everyone in that courtroom recognizes it. The judge stands and departs, his robe flowing behind him, leaving the echo of the gavel as the last punctuation. The bailiff declares the session adjourned, but no one rises. The room remains frozen, as if the individuals within are too shocked to move. Reporters in the stands scratch wildly on their notebooks, their cameras firing as rapidly as their shutters can snap. Each face is chronicled: Christine's firm stare, Janelle's unspoken strength, Mary's adamant defiance, Robyn's shattered breakdown, and Kody's frozen rage. The headlines are penning themselves. Christine leans in toward Janelle. Her tone is husky, but unyielding. It's not over. You know he won't let it alone. Janelle nods tightly, her lips clamped into a line. No, but he can no longer fight the tide. It's turned on him. At last, Robyn gets slowly to her feet, her attorney supporting her by the elbow. Her mascara runs, her face white, her lips quivering. She does not look at anyone. She speaks, her voice cracking, not to the crowd, not to the judge, but nearly to herself. I tried so hard. I tried to defend him, to defend all of us. But maybe I was defending a falsehood. Kody's head whips around to her, his voice stinging and venomous, slicing the air like a whip. Don't you dare say that. Don't you turn against me now. For the first time Robyn doesn't step back. She doesn't nod, doesn't mollify her words. She shakes her head, her tears falling harder. I can't, Kody. I can't lie anymore. Not when everything's already out. The gallery gasps. Even Christine, hardened by years of betrayal, shifts in her seat, her eyes narrowing as she sees the implication of what Robyn just confessed. Kody's fists clench against the table, his face flushing with anger. You're weak. You're all weak. You think this is over? This isn't over, not by a long shot. But the blaze in his voice doesn't ring true. The authority, the control, the intimidation that he once brought, it's all gone. His voice rings empty, desperate, the wails of a man whose power has slipped beyond his grasp. The bailiff closes in, his presence stern, ensuring Kody doesn't allow that desperation to overflow into action. Kody sees him and leans back, his jaw working as he swallows rage. Christine, Janelle, and Mary walk towards the door in a group. They say nothing, but there is an unspoken solidarity in the way they walk, shoulder to shoulder, a united front. After years of separation, Robyn remains. She's torn between two lives, the allegiance she took to Kody and the reality she can no longer ignore. Her wails subside into brief, ragged breaths, but her eyes remain fixed on the ground. Kody doesn't budge. He remains sitting, arms bent, his face concealed behind his hands. The crowd opens up around him. The photographers, the journalists, the attorneys, all drifting by, parting to reveal him in the middle of the courtroom, like overthrown royalty. And when finally the doors shut behind the very last of them, the silence is palpable. The kingdom he struggled to maintain is lost. And for the first time ever, even Kody Brown appears to understand it. The most perilous moment occurs after a man has lost everything, because at that point he has nothing left to lose. The heavy wooden courthouse doors open, and the world outside explodes. Reporters push forward, microphones aloft, cameras flashing like a lightning storm. The air resounds with screamed questions, each of them slicing through the chaos like jagged glass. Christine, do you feel vindicated? Robyn, did you just betray Kody? Kody, what comes next after this decision? The sisters come out first. Christine, Janelle, and Mary shoulder to shoulder. This time they are united. They have faces that are serene, dignified, nearly regal. They don't say anything, but the silence speaks for themselves. Each flashbulb records the picture of three women who once lived in the shadow of a patriarch, now moving freely, unfettered, and in tandem. Kody doesn't show up at once. He stays inside, his pride holding him back from moving forward, as if entering that storm would be a second loss. The reporters wait, buzzing, their voices increasing in volume second by second. And then Robyn arrives, her face smeared with tears, her attorney at her side. The press converges, but she doesn't talk. She holds her head low, her body dragging as if each step is more burdensome than the last. A microphone is thrust in her direction, and a question pierces the din. Robyn, do you regret defending Kody all those years? She winces but does not reply. Her silence is confession in itself, and the headlines are already being drafted. The public does not demand answers alone, they demand blood. And in this tempest, every silence, every look, every tear is fuel for the flames. Moments afterward, Kody finally shows up. His jaw is clenched, his eyes burning, his pace quick and forceful. His attorney lags behind him, attempting to keep up. The pack closes in, microphones pushed into his face, cameras almost blinding him. Kody, what is your reaction to Robyn's evidence? Kody, are you losing your family forever? Kody, are you done? He doesn't stop. He doesn't respond. But his silence is more eloquent than any denial. The rage on his face, the desperation of his movements, all fuel the myth the press are hungry to create. The once inviolate patriarch, now falling apart in front of them. Christine, Janelle, and Mary melt into waiting vehicles. Their chauffeurs speed away, cameras pursuing but never quite catching more than speeding taillights. Robyn is shepherded apart, her departure more subdued, but no less agonizing. Kody, however, stands defiant atop the courthouse steps. For one moment, he stops and faces the crowd. His chest rises as if he is about to say something, as if he is about to release the anger which is piling in his throat. But nothing arrives. He simply stands there, his lips clamped, his nostrils flared, his eyes crazed with rage and fear. The crowd feels it, the desperation behind the bluster, and they surge harder. Kody, did your wives ruin your reputation? Kody, is this the end of the Brown family? He storms down the stairs, pushing aside cameras and microphones, pushing his way into a waiting black SUV at the curb. The door closes, and in seconds he's disappeared. The crowd doesn't clear. They turn on one another now. Reporters exchanging information, cameras rewinding images, social media abuzz with every moment of the drama. Hashtags erupt online. #SisterWivesCourt. #Kody defeated. #Robyn betrays Kody. Within an hour, clips of Robyn's trembling voice, of Mary's piercing words, of Kody's silent rage are circulating everywhere. Millions of people who were not inside the courtroom are now watching, analyzing, debating. And just like that, The private war of the Browns has become a public spectacle, one the family can no longer control. Christine sits it out in the back seat of her vehicle. Her phone buzzes non-stop, texts from friends, strangers, even producers. She looks over at Janelle, who is reading headlines already spilling onto the internet. It's everywhere. Janelle grumbles. There's no turning back now. Christine releases a slow breath, her eyes wandering off to the blur of flashing lights receding into the distance. Good. Maybe now the world will finally see him the way we saw him. Mary, who is sitting in the same car, says nothing, but in her eyes there's a reserved strength, a satisfaction of not revenge, but of truth finally seeing the light of day. Robyn, in another vehicle on the other side of town, can't stop shaking. Her phone vibrates in her hand. Dozens of calls from Kody. She doesn't pick it up. She simply glares at the screen, her tears dripping anew. The burden of betrayal, of loyalty, of love and fear, all crashing simultaneously. Kody's SUV rips through back alleys, out of the cameras, out of the mobs. In the cab, his anger seethes. He slams the dashboard, screaming incoherently. To him, the battle isn't finished. To him, it's only just started. Because in the universe of Kody Brown, losing is never losing. It's just the fuel for the next war. Sunset settles over Flagstaff, but the storm refuses to break. The courthouse might be quiet, the press departed, the headlines already a-spinning, but within the Brown household, the fight has just begun. Robyn's house is silent, too silent. The kids are sleeping upstairs, oblivious to the storm raging below. The soft light of one lamp illuminates the living room, where Robyn sits, shoulders curled forward, hands holding her phone. Kody's name flashes on the screen repeatedly. She allows it to ring. She can't handle his voice, yet. Then, without notice, the front door swings wide open. Kody storms inside, his face twisted in anger, his movements violent and jerky, like a man hanging together by a thread. "You did this to me," he growls, his voice low but shaking with rage. "You, Robyn, you stood there and let them destroy me." Robyn stands slowly, her eyes wide, her lips quivering. "I didn't destroy you, Kody. You did that yourself." The words linger, stark, irreversible. There is a moment of silence that feels heavier than any cry. Kody closes in, his ragged breath, fists clenched. But Robyn doesn't flinch. She doesn't hide. The tears in her eyes can't conceal the fierceness in her voice. "You forced me to choose between truth and loyalty," she whispers. "And once, I chose the truth." Kody recoils as if hit. His eyes are ablaze. His chest rages. But for the first time ever, words elude him. He turns his back, pacing, his anger flowing into the walls of the house that once seemed inviolate. Robyn observes him, her skin pale but firm. She understands that this instant will set everything, not only for her, but for the family's future, for the Browns' legacy, for the tale the world will now tell. Because sometimes the greatest betrayal is not in what one says, but in finally being unwilling to hold silent. Kody halts his pacing. He shoots her a hateful look, his low and venomous voice. "If you believe that this is the end, then you're mistaken. This family isn't over. Not by you, not by them." He charges towards the door, and slams it so hard that the walls tremble. The reverberation stays long after he leaves. Robyn slumps onto the couch, her body shaking, her breathing in small gasps. She rubs her face with shaking hands, looking at the vacant doorway. She knows the war isn't finished. She knows Kody will return, angrier, more desperate, more dangerous. But for the first time, she is also aware that she's not alone. Christine, Janelle, Mary, the women he presumed were lower than him, no longer hold their tongues, and collectively, their voices might just be strong enough to shatter him. The screen goes black on Robyn's face, wet with tears, her breath whispered too low but full of meaning. It's not the end, it's only the beginning. And the question lingers, for all of us viewing, all of us arguing, all of us who followed this drama since the beginning. When the war within the Brown family bursts again, are you with them?